So the key thing here is that the Parliament, with this Act, will create the authority and will give it an independent life. Somebody will be appointed to head the authority. That person needs to be somebody who is regarded by all sides as independent. But the power to investigate corruption exists already. This was the controversy we had in 2011. The Royal Gibraltar Police has that power and has the resources. This will be a separate authority that will be able to take allegations of corruption and, where necessary, refer them to the Royal Gibraltar Police or consider them ill-founded and discard them.
Why so late in the day?
Well, I mean, the GSD has been trying to persuade us not to do this for many years. In 2011, when I proposed it, they were against it. So was the PDP. They continued to be against it. There's recently been suggestions that Gibraltar is somehow lacking in this area. I want Gibraltar to have the most transparent capability of dealing with allegations of corruption. In a recent television program, you put an allegation to me which was entirely outlandish. Gibraltar is constantly plagued by ill-founded allegations based on rumours, etc., about corruption. But look, if there are one or two genuine cases of corruption, they have to be rooted out. And if people do not understand that they can go today to the Royal Gibraltar Police with those allegations to be investigated, if we set up a freestanding authority, this freestanding authority can be the place where people go, and then that authority can determine, sift through those allegations, go in the right way to disregard the rumours and nonsense allegations. But if there is a genuine issue of corruption which somebody at the head of that authority, who will be somebody that everybody respects, considers does merit investigation, then the Royal Gibraltar Police can be asked to investigate in the proper and usual way, because this is a criminal offence and it has to be investigated in this way.
Well, the opposition is describing the bill as window dressing, saying it doesn't go far enough.
Well, you see, this is where I feel very disappointed in the opposition. We've said, look, if you think that this bill can be improved, in our first press release we said, work with us, let's improve it, let's work constructively to deal with this issue. In 2011, the opposition was saying to me, when they were the government and the unofficial opposition, the GSD and the PDP, that there was absolutely no need for an anti-corruption authority because all of the powers necessary to investigate bribery and corruption to the standard established by the United Kingdom and in application of the United Nations Convention against Bribery and Corruption were actually in our Crimes Act, which had been passed already by the Gibraltar Parliament under the GSD. So they said there was no need for an anti-corruption authority whatsoever. Today, when I say let's go further than what we have already, which is already to comply with the UN Convention, with what is there in the United Kingdom, etc., they say it's just window dressing, it's not enough. Well, look, they can't have it one way or the other. It just doesn't make sense for them to say this is not enough when we're going further than they said was the maximum ever necessary.
Well, the opposition is also claiming that the government is part of the problem and therefore can't provide a solution, and that you as Chief Minister can stop an investigation at any time.
Well, that's the model in the United Kingdom. It's the model that there is to provide for instances where, for example, there could be issues of the wider public interest. Tony Blair famously used a power that he had to prevent an investigation in a case which involved a large amount of arms sales to Saudi Arabia. It's a very well-known case. It's about the Al Yamama deal. It's a balance of what is in the interest of the taxpayer and the public interest, and somebody has to be able to determine that. Look, the attitude that the GSD takes seems to be that as long as they are the ones who have those powers, it's fine. If it's a GSLP chief minister that has that power, then it's a problem. We have to understand that corruption, if it is happening, is a very serious issue, whatever the administration, but rumours and allegations about corruption which are unfounded are just corrosive and they don't enable us to progress as a society. So what we need to do is to ensure that we have a mechanism for investigation of any allegation which is serious. There is one already under the Crimes Act. We're adding to it with this proposal. But Keith says he's a constructive politician, and I want to have a constructive opposition so that we can work together on things. But instead of doing those things, they have said this is not enough, we're not going to do it, vote for us and we'll do a different sort of anti-corruption authority. When in 16 years they did the Crimes Act, but they didn't do an anti-corruption authority. So I'm determined that we're going to do this. We're going to be constructive. We're going to continue to seek the input of the opposition. We're going to go to Parliament with this bill. If they say it can be improved, let them say how it can be improved. Let them persuade us that what they said was more than enough already is not enough now. And look, let's go back and look at what Keith and what Daniel Feetham said in 2011, and let's make judgments about who's being consistent and who's not being consistent in that case. police.
Well, you mentioned what I believe you said were outrageous allegations that I put to you in an interview with GBC. Is an anti-corruption authority needed more after over a decade in government, when trust in the government has started to be eroded?
No, I don't think that's got anything to do with it. I think this has got to do about the evolution of government and the evolution of social media and how society is polarizing generally. Look, I'm very clear. There are 1,000 nonsense allegations about corruption that are made. And look, those are made over coffee. People say things in the street, then the whole thing rolls. If something is serious, an allegation should be made to the Royal Gibraltar Police, not on the street. But one thing must be different to what people might say to each other on the street, which leads to rumour and innuendo. And that's what the leader of the opposition says. If the leader of the opposition says in a press release, as he has yesterday, that there are cases of corruption and waste which the government is failing to deal with, well, look, waste is one thing, it's a political issue. Corruption is a criminal issue, and the leader of the opposition is a King's Counsel, just like I am. If he makes that allegation in writing as he has, what he should do is put up or shut up. Make the report to the Royal Gibraltar Police if you say that there is a genuine case of corruption to talk about, whether it involves politicians or doesn't involve politicians, it involves others. Make the allegation, because we're talking about public money being engaged. So instead of just making a nonsense allegation, go to the Royal Gibraltar Police, go in writing. He can prepare it in writing just as I could if I was acting as a lawyer in these matters. Make the allegation for investigation so that we all benefit from an allegation of corruption being investigated and disregarded if it is absolute nonsense, or pursued and prosecuted if it is genuine. And Keith should realize that by having said what he's said in writing, he's put himself in a position where he now either goes to the police with those allegations or he has to put up with it.
And what would you say then to allegations that this is a pre-election gimmick?
I would say that it's nonsense, because we're going to pass this bill, we're going to have an act, there will be an anti-corruption authority. And
will it meet? We have a lot of authorities that don't meet.
No, you don't have lots of authorities that don't meet. Authorities have their own life and they meet all the time. Whether they meet in public or not is a different thing, but there is no question of any authority that does not meet. This authority, if there are genuine cases of corruption, as so many tongues wag in town that there are, I would not want to constitute before a general election, because then a nonsense allegation could be taken to the authority and it could explode in my hands at the time of a general election in a way that then subsequently is disregarded but might affect how people vote in the general election. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to have an anti-corruption authority. It will be established before a general election, and then people should take their complaints to the Royal Gibraltar Police or to the anti-corruption authority, and then that authority will determine whether there is any substance to the allegations made or whether we're just dealing with nonsense. And if there is substance, the matter must be pursued by the Royal Gibraltar Police. And given that the leader of the opposition has said in a press release that there is corruption, I urge him to stop the nonsense in exchanges of press releases and to go immediately to the Royal Gibraltar Police with the allegations of corruption that he says he is aware of, unless he is just somebody who is engaging in rumour and gossip like so many others.